Joining us now on site in Arizona is Cloway Cole, the transitioner and advocate, shedding light on the distressing consequences of so-called gender-affirming care for adolescents. Cloway, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Now, you've spoken openly about finding faith during your detransition. How did that faith help you come to accept and love the body you were born in?
I think it was the single biggest missing piece of my entire life. It was what led to the confusion with my identity and my body in the first place. It was a hole that I started to feel once again when I detransitioned. And eventually, as I started to be surrounded by Christian men and women all over me, or all around me, from all over, I started to learn that God never made a mistake. And even in spite of the mistakes that I had made during my life, He wasn't going to let any of it be unused. Every misgiving I had, everything that I was grieving, He was going to help me use for good. And this has proven true in my life. It's given me a solid foundation that I can base my values and the rest of my life off of and use to help the people around me. And it's helped me to heal from some of the grief of what I've been through, as well as understand what I'm fighting for. That children were created in God's image, that there's no such thing as being born in the wrong body. And that is exactly why we have to fight for these kids who are being fed these lies, who are being separated from their parents, whose parents are being lied to that they are going to die if they are not transitioned as early as possible. And I want to dedicate the rest of my life to upholding God's will and His word and using my testimony to do so.
And Cloway, before finding faith, what was sort of the deepest struggle that you were kind of going through that you think that a lot of young kids right now may be fighting, and how faith could actually help them out of it?
I think that it's a largely missing component in Gen Z culture. I think that a lot of people my age, people who I grew up with, people from all over, grew up in homes that did not really value that part of their lives, and they were missing that foundation of their values. And I think that confusion is presenting itself in my generation in more ways than just transgenderism or LGBT ideology. So many people are dealing with different addictions, afflictions, and we're trying to reorient myself. But I think the biggest mistake perhaps is believing that we're owed something. No, we are the new adults, and it is up to us to rediscover our relationship with God, to spread the gospel, and to fight for the future of our country, of our children, and our communities.
Now, you've said before, you're grieving after the medical procedures you underwent. What does that grief look like? How are you working through it?
Well, of course, with the loss of my breasts, I have lost a major part of my identity as a woman and as somebody who aspires now to become a mother. And it's something that I carry with me every day. That I don't talk about it as often on a very vulnerable level, because I can't spend my time doing that. I have to use it for something more productive, for the greater good. But it's something that there are so many tears that I don't show to the world. But it's also something that lights a fire under me, because it's happened not only to me, but to so many other children, so many other little boys and girls. And that is one of many things that keeps me moving forward.
And your story has touched so many people. You were recently invited to speak at a press conference in Washington with the HHS Secretary, RFK Jr. It was a very powerful speech. For those who haven't seen it, highly recommend going to X or whatever platform to be able to view it. What does this signal to you in terms of how serious the administration is taking this issue?
This is the very first administration to take the transgender issue seriously, especially when it comes to the mutilation of innocent children. And I have been speaking for about 4 years now, and it's been such an uphill battle. But I feel like we've finally come to a moment in our culture where the tide is really starting to turn. And it's not just normal everyday people who are fed up with this. Our own federal government is finally making change. to stop this. Trump has released so many different executive orders this year attacking this issue on different fronts. The HHS, they released their peer-reviewed report on these treatments, and the outcome was that these treatments are in children are at best questionable or at worst destructive completely to life. And this industry needs to be challenged, and that is now official U.S. policy. And they have proposed measures to continue fighting this in 2026 and in the coming years in the second term of the Trump administration. And I think that we've had so many wins and we have so many to go, and I'm really excited to see how things go. So we need to continue moving on this issue at full force until it is illegal on every level, statewide, federal, and these laws are upheld by courts. We need to ensure that there's a way that children who've already been harmed can come out of it safely, that children who are still dealing with the confusion can be guided out of it, and to hold, of course, the manufacturers of the pharmaceuticals, of the horrific medical devices that they're using for this, and that the doctors who are involved in this and those who are complicit are held accountable.
Clואi Cole, you really need to be commended for your bravery, really taking on such a powerful machine when you think about the medical and industrial complex and the pharmaceutical industrial complex. Thank you so much for joining us.